Okay. Thank you. Okay, anyway, let's get started. So I confess that, well, my research career started as a natural language processing researcher. But well, somehow I came into the, well, cognitive developmental robotics. Well, I don't know why. But, well, I designed the robots, well, the forms and functions. And using those robots, well, I carried out a number of psychological experiments with children with and without autism. And I also did some well, social practices for therapy and education. So that is the backside of the today's story. So by the way, this is my first robot, humanoid, infanoid. Okay? I'll talk about that soon. Okay? So my talk is about the child-robot interaction for therapeutic and educational research and practices. Okay? First, I will describe how robots can be used for the modeling child social and cognitive development. And second, I will show you a couple of cases of robot-mediated interaction with autistic children. And finally, well, I'd like to introduce my recent research interest, that is co-imagination in children. Okay, let's get started. So part one is, well, robots as a tools for modeling a child's social development. And well, this is an infanoid. And well, I first became interested in eye contact and joint attention. Well, which both are coming from the, research on the developmental psychology. And as I was kind of the designer and engineer, so I built a robot that can do that. Okay? So this is infanoid, upper torso humanoid robot. The size of the robot is almost the same as a 4-year-old child. And the two monitors behind show the robot's peripheral view and foveal view. Okay? Both cameras are inside the eyeballs. Okay? Let's see. So infanoid automatically makes eye contact with people. And estimates the direction of the people's head and performs joint attention. And as you see, the infanoid is also performing the, well, voice mimicking. So it's something like, the human caregiver is teaching the language to the child or baby. Okay? So this is my first robot, first humanoid I made. So I'm really interested in the social capability. And especially, well, as I told you that the eye contact and the joint attention is, well, I believe it's really important. Well, they play the indispensable important roles in the language acquisition and, well, further social development. And as you probably know, eye contact is the act of looking at your partner's eyes or face, okay, like that. And it gives the temporal synchronization to the interaction and enable both the interactants to exchange some emotional or attentive states. And on the right side, the joint attention is the act of sharing, looking at the shared target like that. Okay? It gives a spatial focusing to the interaction and enables them, both interactants, to share their perceptual information coming from the target object. And also, going back and forth between the eye contact and the joint attention, back and forth, those two interactants can share and exchange how you feel about what we see. So this is why, well, I built a robot that can perform eye contact and joint attention towards towards the language acquisition and emergence of the social communication capabilities. And this is a really busy slide, but well, my dream is to replicate human social development, especially the language acquisition in artificial systems. So starting from the eye contact and the joint attention over here, and well, it develops into the connecting and referencing to the each other's perception and actions. And as we saw in the previous video, well, those two eye contact joint attention made a loop of this one. Those two guys, one is a human and the other one is a baby or a baby robot. Well, so those two can make a the loop of the kind of the actions, okay, facial expressions, vocalization, or anyway, but while sharing the perceptual target. Okay, so into that loop, that the caregiver can deliver kind of the language or culture or whatever, and running the loop, those kind of the social information can be absorbed by the learner, the agent, learning agent. And then, this one then develops into the predicting and controlling in each other's behavior, from which that understanding others' intention emerges. And based on that, the child or the robot can go into the social communication where they show the empathy or cooperation or those kind of the human-specific traits. So here I just wanted to show that starting from the eye contact joint attention, the children can reach the human-specific social interaction capability, social intelligence. Okay. So here now let us see how the human children interact with Infinite, that robot. Okay. Oops. This is a 4-year-old boy, and he actually interprets the robot's reaching out or pointing behavior as a demand. So actually, he gave the stuffed animal to the robot, and now he's showing the robot his favorite miniature car and hand it into the robot's hand. And now he's showing how to play with the miniature car. Okay, this is really lovely. So he actually sees the robot's desire or interest or something like that, and showing so responding by giving or showing. And usually, the children above 4 years will certainly make friends with Infinite. But those under 3 years of age here, they don't go into the kind of the social interaction with Infinite. Maybe the size of the robot or the complexity of the robot or this kind of the mechanical appearance of the robot actually mattered. Okay. So I think that we need smaller and simpler robots for our research on much younger children, because of the language acquisition or emergence of social intelligence started from the 0-year-old, 1-year-old, something like that. So again, as I am an engineer and a designer, so I built it, and that's a keep-on. So it's small and yellow, yet actually yellow, and soft. The body is made of the silicone rubber, and as you see over here, that the inside of the rubber-made skin, it's almost hollow. So the baby can naturally squeeze it, something. Okay, so but still it has 4 DC motors. It's a Maxon motor. It's a Swiss-made motor, which is really expensive, and 2 cameras and a microphone. Microphone at the nose. Okay? So, it's capable of lots of a variety of the human-robot interactions. So let's see how the robot moves. Here. Okay? So the the keep-on is capable of just two kinds of actions on the right side. Well, the one is showing attention, so heading one direction to another. Okay? And number two is showing emotion. So as you see it, by rocking side by side or bobbing up and down, well, it shows interest or let's say joy or excitement. Okay? So despite this simplicity, it's pretty simple. Well, just 4 degrees of freedom, but the keep-on is still capable of making eye contact, joint attention, and exchange of the emotion. So I would say that this keep-on is minimally designed for non-verbal social interaction. Okay. Okay. Let's see how younger children interacted with keep-on. Okay. Here, this is a 2-year-old girl, and this one is the scene taken from the keep-on's onboard camera. Okay. So this is a 27-month-old girl, and she's actually playing doing some play, konnichiwa or something like that. And when the keep-on responded, in a good way, that she actually stroked its head and saying the good boy or good girl or something like that. Okay? So this is a typical 2-year-old response, but different age shows different interactions. Okay, so 0-year-old over here. Okay, actually, 0-year-olds are recognized keep-on probably as a moving thing. Okay, and 1-year-old here in the middle playfully interact with keep-on. Well, just as an kind of the interactive pet or animals. Okay, and 2-year-old at the bottom. Well, as you have seen that. They showed kind of the pro-social behavior. Not only the social behavior, but as if the keep-on is a younger sister or younger brother. Well, actually, this 27-month-old girl took the care of the keep-on, okay? And plays or sometimes scold. Okay? So this is really, really interesting. So from the response from the children, we can approach the internal recognition of the inside the children. So we are working on a lot of things. So oops, how I put it? Anyway, so this one is totally different story, but I organized long time ago a series of conferences by the name of the epigenetic robotics. Okay? And from 2001, those series of the conference started from there. I think that's Sweden, and then a lot of places, including in Japan. And in 2011, the EPIROB merged with ICDL, that's the International Conference of Development and Learning, and under the support by IEEE. So we named our conference IEEE, ICDL, and EPIROB. And just 3 years ago, we actually took off the name of the EPIROB. So nowadays, it is called the IEEE ICDL. Okay, but of course, I'm a bit sad that we took out the name of the EPIROB, but we are proud that we established the newly emerging research field. That's the cognitive developmental robotics somehow. Okay, then let's proceed to the second part. That's a longitudinal interaction with autistic children. So first, let me take a quick look at some facts on autism or autism spectrum disorders, ASD. And this is the latest report from the CDC in the United States. So they actually, every 2 years, they survey the prevalence of ASD. It says that, the 2.76% of the 8-year-olds are said to be autism. And the number is increasing, well, in every time they surveyed. And thinking about the social support for their educational or therapeutic or everyday life support, okay, this number is really significant. So I believe that, well, some technological innovation are needed here. So that's why I went into this field. So according to the latest diagnostic criteria by the name of the DSM-5, okay, there are two conditions needed for the diagnosis of ASD. Okay. Number one is deficits in social communication over verbal and non-verbal interaction. It's a really wide range. And then number two is restricted and often stereotyped behavior and interest. And if both conditions are satisfied, then the child is diagnosed as autism or ASD. And compared with kind of the previous criteria, DSM-4, well, ASD includes, nowadays, well, ASD includes a whole range of the spectrum under the single name ASD. So today, well, increasing number of the children come to the therapeutic institute in Japan, but it's not happening only in Japan, but well, in Europe too, I believe. And this one, well, on the left bottom, well, this photo shows that, well, the therapeutic daycare center where we observed the interactions with the autistic kids. And there, well, usually, well, autistic children at the age of 2 to 5 years old, okay, with their parents and therapist, one-to-one, okay, and 6 to 8 such, not a pair, well, couples, well, engage in group therapeutic activities and free play in this kind of, large playroom. And we brought wireless version of the Keepon over here. So we actually put the Wi-Fi, LAN, or battery, or lots of things in it. Okay? So it's something like a satellite, and we are controlling the satellite from the Earth. Yeah, something like that. And well, we brought this wireless Keepon to the playroom over there, and well, Keepon was just one of the toys scattered on the floor. Okay, like that. So children can freely play with Keepon or other toys, okay, anytime they want during the free play time. Okay? And well, we carried out a longitudinal observation. So we conducted over 130 sessions, and each session was 3 hours long. And totally, well, Keepon have met more than 50 different autistic children. Shortest case, well, shortest child was for 5 months or so, and the longest one was 2 years and a half. Okay? So it's really longitudinal participant observation. And in this observation, we used the human operator, or so-called wizard, okay, who remotely, controls Keepon in real time from a separate room, colored in the pink on the bottom on the map on the map. Okay? And looking at the image of the Keepon's eye camera in the bottom, and also the ceiling camera. Okay, the operator controls the Keepon's body motion for showing attention or emotion or whatever. Okay, in real time by using the mouse and the keyboard. Okay. And we also recorded those two video streams for behavioral analysis in detail. So it's a qualitative analysis. Okay. Now I'd like to share with you our one case. Okay. The image is blurred and somehow made a kind of the deformation for the privacy. And well, this is a girl P, and about 3 to 4 years of age. And well, the keeper met her, well, 15 sessions, well, so it's totally 45 hours in 12 months, while this girl P was 3 years and 9 months old to 4 years and 1 month old. And well, she actually was diagnosed as autism with a moderate level of the mental retardation. Okay? And well, and she was not talkative. She didn't have any a productive language at all. Okay, then let's see. So this is a boy who is already familiar with Keepon, but the target girl is in the red. Okay, and this is the Keepon's onboard camera view. Oops. So once she noticed that Keepon is still looking at her, well, she actually drew back, and the adult is her therapist. And she actually encouraged the girl P to go to the Keepon, but well, she actually refused. And once she noticed that Keepon is looking at her, well, she drew back. So this one is kind of the 1 meter distance from the Keepon to her. Okay? Oops. Then actually she drew back. Okay? So well, at the first sight, well, she showed a strong fear or fearness. Okay? So well, she kept distance from the Keepon. Probably for her that the Keepon is some weird animal coming from some part of the world, and the animal could bite you or could attack you or something like that. And this is another boy who is already familiar with Keepon. He actually played with Keepon by putting a paper cylinder on top of a Keepon. And the white cloth, this one, is a girl P, target girl. The paper cylinder is somewhere around here. And, well, she actually dragged her therapist's hand and, well, non-verbally asked the therapist to do the same thing. Okay? And once the therapist completed the task, well, she actually gets satisfied and left. And, well, so the fearness decreased and the curiosity increased, and she actually gradually approached the Keepon. And this one is while she was playing the gyrophone with her mother back, and she actually tried to touch the Keepon by the stick. Yeah, it's hard to see. Okay. Okay. On the same day, just an hour later, okay, the girl P was about to touch. Actually, she didn't touch it. Well, it's a near miss. And when she was alone, okay, in front of the Keepon, she actually touched the Keepon on her left hand, okay, and nothing scary happened. Okay. So this was the first touch, but we spent 4 months for the touch. And then once touched, the social distance between the Keepon and the girl P drastically decreased. Okay? She came such close to Keepon, okay, and listening to the Keepon's sound, pom 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 sound, and then she showed a lot of different, actions to Keepon. Well, this is interesting that she's trying to put the knit cap on Keepon's head. Well, usually, the autistic kids don't do this kind of things to the real person. So nose and the cheek and one foot. Yeah. So the variety of the action actually drastically increased, widened. Okay? And this is the final stage of the 5th month where she came to Keepon. Keepon was on the shelf. Vocalization. And then she also climbed up to the shelf. well, some vocalization again. And she actually kissed the Keepon's eyes. And then forehead. Of course, this is the first kiss. And Keepon actually asked her to come, and then she responded. Something like this. So it's a kind of the bidirectional interaction. So, well, to wrap up, well, the first, well, she showed a strong, kind of the fearness or unpredictability or something like that. Okay? But, well, also she increased her curiosity about Keepon, okay? And the fearness decreased, I think. Okay? And finally, well, she touched the Keepon in the fourth month. And we spent 4 months for the first touch. And then drastically, social distance decreased, and she actually, came close to Keepon and touch it, and kiss it, hug it, and so on. So, well, this actually happened in 5 months. And, well, I think that, well, we learned that almost all autistic children, we observed, well, more than 50 different autistic children, and, well, almost all of them, well, established the social relationship with Keepon. Of course, well, some are, well, really, strong bond. Some are, well, kind of distance bond. Well, it's a case by case. But generally speaking, ASD children usually, well, avoid interacting with real person, but, well, with people, well, they enjoyed social interaction. So for the first few months, well, they actually did the eye contact and then, well, touched it and observed its response. Well, it's a small start. But shortly after that, well, on the bottom side, well, the child put a cap on the top of head of the Keepon, for example, and well, usually, as I told you, that well, ASD children don't do this kind of thing to the real person because the real person is so unpredictable. It's a fear. And then hug, kiss, and bidirectional interaction. But the bidirectional interaction is, of course, it's a nonverbal, but it looks like a conversation. Okay? So, of course, well, including the GRP, that most of the children with ASD at the age of 2, 3, 4 do not produce the language at all. Okay, so, but generally, well, as I told you that ASD children loved the interaction with Keepon. So let me briefly describe that, well, our hypothesis to explain why is that. First, well, we assume the typically developing child over here. Okay. Well, typically developing child has a social filter over here. Okay. I can use this one, social filter over here. Okay. Somewhere in the child's brain, somewhere in the brain, of course. Okay. The person over here, okay, real person, okay, emits lots of information. Well, something like action units to on the face, or well, to produce the facial expressions, or a number of joints on the body, okay, joint angle and joint angle velocity, or something. It's really a big amount of the data, okay, and then eye gaze direction and let's say vocalization as well. Okay? It's a really big data, okay, and fast data. But this social filter transforms the raw data into a socially meaningful one, like attention, or emotion, or desire, or intention. Okay? But in an autistic child in the middle, okay, however, we assume that this social filter is not working properly. Okay? The raw data coming from that person, blue person, will flood into the autistic child and overwhelm the autistic child. Okay? But in the case of the Keepon, using the Keepon, okay, the Keepon was carefully designed to be simple and Therefore, that the autistic child somehow successfully grasp the, take out the socially meaningful information from the keyboard's simple appearance and restricted motions. So that's our hypothesis, and we are currently working on the biologically and computationally plausible model of this social filter. Okay. So now let me go on to the final part. It's a cognitive science of co-imagination in children. This is a story about the, at the kindergarten. And this is about a pretend play in the kindergarten, where the people met mostly typically developing children. Okay? So it's a totally different line of the research compared to the previously mentioned autistic kids. So we put the keepon in the class of the 3-year-olds, okay, with 27 children and 3 teachers. Okay. And we made a 12-month-long longitudinal observation. Therefore, throughout the 12-month-long observation, those kids, average age was 4.0 years. And we observed the 25 sessions and 3 hours each. And usually the first half was for free play, in which the most pretend play occurred. Again, where we used the human operator to telecontrol keepon and from a remote room, okay? And watching the videos from the keepon's onboard camera and offboard steering camera. So just like the the case in the autistic therapeutic daycare center for the autistic kids. So here I'd like to present an example of the emergence of the pretend play. Okay? So this is a scene taken from the fixed ceiling camera. And these 2 children put a weight on top of the keepon, making a crack of the keepon's head. So some internal part were made of the plastic and the metal actually sticking out of the head, and saying that an egg was popped out or something like that. Soon after that, the other children noticed that the crack in the keepon's head, so they gathered around the keepon, saying that an egg or pump or pour or something like that. This is the beginning of the story. Okay? And shortly after that, that kind of the accident, okay, one of the children by the name of K started an interesting social interaction with keepon. So now let us see the video from the keepon's onboard camera. It's a really lovely interaction. And then, okay, right after this, interesting interaction, another child, M, came in. So let's see the rest of the story. So, starting from the, Keepon's head injury, this child, K, actually gave him medicine and water. Then, having observed these, kind of the history between this K and the Keepon, another child M actually came in, and the child M gave him a cup of warm milk, okay, for further expansion of the story. So this is a typical pretend play we observed in the kindergarten. Well, within the 12 months, during the 12 months or 12 months observation, we at least observed that 59, something like 50 such cases. Okay, so of course that exact number is hard to tell. That the definition of the pretend play is difficult to define, and also the pretend play sometimes changes into different one. So we can cut into two or something like that. So it is hard to tell the number of the pretend play, but it's always happening within the children. So I really like to model this kind of the cognitive processes behind this pretend play, okay? Because I will talk this about later, but because this is deeply related to our human nature, I believe. Okay? But first of all, based on this kind of observation, we made a preliminary cognitive model of pretend play using the so-called predictive information processing or predictive coding theory. I think that some of you are familiar with it. And first, the child generates a fantasy, okay, in which the imaginary expectation is translated into a kind of the physical image. And second, the physical image is compared with the reality, okay, computing the difference as an error. Then, based on this error, the original fantasy is updated so as to minimize the error. Okay? Also, the error can be minimized by modifying the reality out there. Okay? So, I mean that the reality, modifying the reality by acting verbally or non-verbally on it. So I mean that by acting on the reality, you can change the reality so as to match your expectation. So this is our hypothesis of what's happening in the individual. Then this cognitive process is running in each individual in parallel. Okay, so child A up there, projects her expectation towards the real situation. Her speech and action are now visible and accumulating in the real world, making a kind of the history. And then another child B comes in, and she may have at the first hand she may have incongruent expectations, but she maximizes the meaning or meaningfulness of her observation of his past activity and of her own new activity, so making her expectations similar to or consistent with child A's expectation. So this is our truly a preliminary model of the emergence of the shared fantasy. It is still in a hypothetical phase, but it suggests that how communication ability and theory of mind develop in young children. So to wrap up for this kind of pretend play, we observed or participated in about 50 different cases of such pretend play. Okay? And at the individual level on the left bottom, okay, I think that each child projects their imagination onto the reality. Okay? To model this, I think that we need to extend or expand the existing predictive coding theory to be able to handle the unrealistic imagination. And at the collective level on the bottom right, okay, well, children's imaginations are projected onto the shared reality, or I may say that, well, are overlapped on the reality, okay, where meaning of their actions and speech is, maximized according to the, accumulated history of their activities. So I'm really interested in such a kind of the, self-organizing process among the children. Okay. Now, well, let's jump on to the conclusion. And after that, well, I'd like to show some of the small demonstration with the keep-on. And we actually, well, I talked about the child-robot interaction for the therapeutic and educational research and practices. Okay? We've gone through these 3 points. Robots as a tools for the modeling the child social development and cognitive development, and longitudinal observation interaction between the keep-on and the autistic children. And finally, well, my recent interest, co-imagination in children as a cognitive basis for sharing stories. Okay? But I believe that, well, not only the stories, well, but also that includes the myths or possibly religions too. Okay? I want you to hear about how do you think about that. Okay? Anyway, this is my end of my talk, but well, I would like to show some of the demonstration of my yellow robot keep-on. So keep-on has 2 eyes, those are cameras, and here. And let's see. And this is now, keep-on is in automatic mode. So, well, keep-on actually searches for the human face, and when, well, he actually find somebody to make eye contact with, well, he actually shows some greeting behavior. Okay? By the way, the keep-on's eyes has horizontally, I see, 120 degrees, view. Okay, it's really wide, but still, that if I, start standing on the side of the keep-on, that he can't find me. Keep-on. So, well, this is in automatic mode, but sometimes we put this keep-on to the lab or the playrooms for the autistic kids or the kindergarten kids. Well, in that case, we actually and. He needs some exercise before the work. Sorry that the image is pretty small, okay? But so this is the interface that we used in the interaction in the lab or the some playroom settings. Okay, so the keep-on can turn to 100 degrees and minus 100 degrees. So, almost the all sphere can be seen, okay, by keep-on. Okay? So, this is a pretty interesting because that we make the those kids believe that the keep-on is really situated in the same physical environment. So here, this is a kind of the typical setting of the our experiment or observation. Okay, and as I showed to you on this monitor, that this is a interface that we used. Okay, usually this portion is the camera image coming from the keyboard, and 120 degrees and 90 degrees. But this one at the bottom is 360 degrees. It's really, really wide one. Okay? So once you click to the something, it turns to something out of the sight, okay, out of the visual scene. Okay? So the panorama image, this portion is actually updated real time, okay, but the other part is just the trace of the past images. Okay? So maybe 3 seconds ago or 10 seconds ago, keep on turned to that direction. It leaves that image over here. Okay? So it's really, really interesting or functioning to make the robotic participant observation. And also, once we recorded and the tones of the video and brought them back to the lab, we actually did the qualitative analysis on the video. So this one is the analyzing software that we actually made. Okay, so we actually compute the distance to the child, or what kind of the behavior she did, or actually we ascribe the some of the data, and also we ascribe or transcribe some of the her kind of the behavior or what she might have thought or might have felt or something like that. It's a totally intersubjectively interpreted qualitative data. So this is the kind of the under the hood of the key bonds interaction observation. But anyway, by using this system, the researcher can go into the kind of the world of the children, having the your body turns into this small yellow simple body, okay? And then you can interact with kids in many ways. So this is a really, really interesting kind of the research tool for the for the emergence of the social intelligence or communication intelligence. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much.